In this episode, we're going to be working on the electrical system. There's a lot of parts here, so we hope you find it useful. We wanted to have a lot of options for power. We wanted to be able to plug in if we were at a place we could do that, like an RV park. Or if we were boondocking, we wanted to be able to work off of solar panels. When we were researching the electrical equipment, it seemed like Victron was a good choice. They have a very good reputation as far as solar power, and they have the other components we needed like the inverter and the DC to DC charger. We thought it was best to get all the parts from one company. First thing we installed was this Servo GX controller. This connects all the parts of the equipment to a digital readout that'll let you see if the batteries are charging or discharging, how many watts you're getting from your solar, all of that.
Put this down. I want to get it where it's close to this black is pretty close to that edge. And it's like there. Got it?
Yeah.
Next, we mounted the bases for the Victron Lynx shunt and power distribution boxes. The shunt gives us a place to mount a main fuse coming in from the batteries. Power distribution lets us hook up everything else.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think that's going anywhere.
Doesn't look like it.
Alright, so for now we're going to put these covers back on here.
Which one has to go on first?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, I thought one had to go under
No.
the other.
Nope. So I have these covers on here to protect this, kind of keep the dust out while we're working on other.
Next thing we wanted to install was the DC to DC charge controller. This allows the alternator on the van to charge up the batteries while we're driving.
Is start two on the side,
And then, okay.
slide it on them, and then put in the other two.
You make sense.
See? Can you hold that? Up just a little bit on my hand.
Like that?
Up a little. There we go.
The next piece of the system we installed was this MPPT 150 solar charge controller. We picked this one because we're going to have 800 watts of solar panels on the roof of the van. We wanted to make sure we had a unit big enough to handle it. Once Natalie got all the screws tightened up, it was time to start running some wires. We began by doing the DC to DC charger. This unit has an input, which is the wire that comes from the battery, a ground that hooks in the center, and then an output that'll run to the power distribution block to charge the batteries. These DC to DC chargers come in two different versions, a non-isolated and an isolated. The non-isolated, you don't have to run the ground all the way back up to the battery, as long as the battery and this unit are grounded to the same thing so they can connect. If you have the isolated unit, you have to run a ground wire all the way up to the battery.
So I got to put the 6 gauge by 5/16 lug here. And you always test pull, make sure it doesn't go anywhere. You got our
In my hand.
heat gun there. So I put our heat shrink over there. Means the glue's working. Just like that.
Let me see.
Just like that.
And the black heat shrink, that's what?
That's the ground.
And the red is?
Positive. The power.
I got that on camera.
Okay. So one of the things that's important when doing these electrical connections is that you clean them, because you want a very good connection between all of this. So use alcohol and wipe it all down. Make sure there's no oil or anything in between. And then this goes on this negative lug. So it's always bus bar, lug, flat washer, lock washer, and nut.
Tight.
These have a torque spec from the manufacturer, and you always want to follow their torque specs. There we go. Nice and snug. So now we need to make the last positive connection that goes from here up to here, and then there'll be a fuse in between these two because this is where the power comes in. Same thing again in these terminals.
And you can use rubbing alcohol or alcohol?
It is rubbing alcohol,
Oh.
except for alcohol is rubbing. So, hold this for just 1 second.
I have a knife if you need it to open that. Or brute force.
So when you're putting this on there, we put the fuse first, then your lug. You always want, you don't want anything between the connections. So then you have your washer, lock washer, and nut.
And then the same thing on top.
Mm-hmm. Sounds tight to me.
Mm-hmm. Action!
Okay, so that's the 4-aught cable lug end. Put our heat shrink on here. Well, that cable is for the chassis ground. We hooked the other end of it to the frame before we put that wall on. And then it hooks to this center lug down here in the middle of the Lynx distributor. Clean them with alcohol well. Now, one thing with this one, if you look down in here, there's a little ground wire that's on there.
Your finger's in the way.
So we need to get a nail nose pliers because we're going to pull that ground wire off and put it on top of here. Those 4-aught lugs are pretty big.
Yeah. And stiff.
Very. is it has this little star washer. And the star washer is meant to kind of bite into...
Let me see. It didn't focus.
It's meant to bite into what you're grounding to. So normally you put the terminal flat up against your surface, but when you have a painted surface or something like that, use a star washer between the terminal and where you're putting it. So this goes just like it normally would, and this star washer goes in here. No, one brown cable.
That one looks like you could take it off.
Yeah, which we will. Not quite sure.
Do you need help?
Flat washer. And this is what gives power to the computer board in here. But we want the fuse flat on these.
This.
So we'll do the ground first, or the neutral first. Wire lug, flat washer, lock washer, and a nut. That. Okay. Now open up our fuse. I gotta clean it. Clean off the ends of our fuse. Clean off our bus bar. Connections. So this goes fuse. This terminal goes back on here. Flat washer. Lock washer. And nut. So after neutral's in, snap the spacer back on there and just clean the lug, washer, lock washer, and nut.
We wanted a nice, neat installation, so we used cable brackets to fasten everything.
me hold those.
But I don't see anything where it doesn't belong. Glasses. Looky there.
Beautiful.
Alright, until we get this 10 gauge wire, that's it.
Once we got the inverter mounted, there's a lug on the bottom here. We connect a 4-aught cable to that for the chassis ground, because the cables that run to the batteries are also 4-aught. You want them to be the same size. We also connected the ground cable from the solar charge controller to this lug.
Ain't going nowhere. This is from our shore power connection, and it goes right here on these three. So it'll come right up into here and hook there. So first thing I gotta do is trim this back and get the ends on it. Don't want to cut that one too far.
I got a knife.
So I need the green handle crimpers
Okay.
and 3 of the 10-12 ends.
Okay. Those are in the box?
Yep.
Okay. Those look like fiber optic.
A little bit.
Three of them?
Yeah.
Oh, there's some real little ones in here. They're so cute.
Okay, so that'll go into there. Alright. Perfect. There.
You were just trying to see they fit?
Yes. Because one of the things that's important with this, when these go up in here, it goes black, white, green, up into this thing. So you want them pretty flat this way, because that's how they have to be in there. So you want this pretty flat.
I have the wire strippers.
No, but I'm not stripping them yet.
Oh.
I'm evening them out. See?
Oh, wow.
So they're nice and flat. That way they go up in there all even. Now I need the strippers.
Don't we all?
Easy.
It's a pretty good stripper.
Yep. Makes this part much easier. All right. So you got a 10-12 end for me?
Yes, sir.
And my little green clipper.
What is the name of that tool?
These are called ferrules, and this is a ferrule crimper. And what it squishes that, so you don't, the reason you use these are stranded wires, and so you can get these little flyers.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have one of those sticking out, when you put all this together, it can reach over to the other connection and cause a short.
Oh.
So you use these ferrules.
Plus the square fit's so nice.
And it gives the screw something better to bite onto, and you eliminate the chances
Arcing.
of spark arcing and shorting them up. And as we get lined up here, like that. Okay. Now they're all three in there.
They have to be very tight.
Well, you gotta be careful. You can get them too tight. You can strip them out. Now they're all in there. They're not going anywhere. Now the fun part. We try and get this little piece of rubber back up inside those teeth.
What are you doing?
You put ends on these. These are 6-gauge wire that will take the power from the inverter or the shore power pass-through to over here to our fuse box. Well, we put the fuse box in.
Where do you want this? Or do you just want me to hold it?
This I'm going to have a knife for. Just hang on to that and put it up here.
Okay.
Can you give me the... Oh, thank you. And then I need 3 more of those blue ends.
Oh, the blue ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the crimper that goes with those.
Okay.
So we're putting ferrules on this 6-gauge stranded
missed-
wire for the same reason, so we don't have any escapees causing shorts.
Nailed it.
So we're cleaning off these battery terminals where our battery cables will connect.
The only time liquids come in contact.
Yep. So give me the black first. Such a tiny cable. And I'll clean this one off good. There we go. And then get him in there. You always put the lug directly on the bolt. Washer, lock washer, and nut. Not the crazy teenager kind of nut.
Not an acorn either, right?
Right. And then you just tighten this up to the appropriate torque.
Which is very tight.
And that one's on. All right. Now we do the red. And I need my alcohol cloth again. Clean this one. Make sure there's no grease or anything in the connection. You always want to make sure too there's no insulation in between the terminal and where it's connecting, because you want a really good solid connection. Washer, lock washer,
You picked up both.
and nut. Okay, so clean off our connections again with alcohol. Including our mega fuse. So the mega fuse goes right here, and then the top bolt gets a washer,
Regular?
and a lock washer, and a nut. Okay, and then we'll put in our negative first because it goes underneath.
Did you clean the end?
You're right. I'll make sure we have a good clean end here. Let's right on 5/16 bolt, and then a washer, lock washer, and a nut. And we need to tighten that one up so we can put our wire separator back in there. That's nice and snug. Now we pop our wire separator back in here. And clean off this one.
You need more alcohol?
Nope, it's still wet. I drowned it pretty good. And now it goes right there, directly on top of the fuse. And we do the washer, the lock washer, and nut. There we go. And now it's not going to wares.
Is it long enough?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Just gotta figure out which way it goes. I think this way. There we go. Alright. So now I gotta decide how I want to run it. There we go. Okay. It's in there.
Woohoo!
Alright. And just as a recap, we have our computer cable that connects it to the Servo GX, our shore power coming in, our 120 volt out, which will go to our breaker panel, our 12 volt ground, and our 12 volt positive cable.
So these both go in front of the fuse?
Huh?
Both of these go in
Yeah.
front of the fuse?
Yeah, the fuse goes on first. Now we put the neutral, or the negative wire, washer and a lock washer. Now he goes right on top of the fuse. And we have our washer, lock washer, and nut. This is our last connection inside of the Lynx distributor. So we have our DC-DC charger, our solar charger, DC power to our fuse block, and power to our inverter. There we go. So all of our wires are in. There is one wire yet that we will need to connect, just a little plug-in wire. It goes from here to here, but we'll do that when we put the rest of the distributor back together. Or the shunt, I mean. That goes like that.
We hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. Thanks for watching.